All right, this is a speech given by the Lubavitcher Rebbe in 1992. And as the weeks go on, it is approaching closer and closer. Back then in 1992, there was 2 months of Adar. It was a double Adar. It was a what we call a filled year. Shana Mu'veretz. As there was 2 Adars, and the Rebbe had a stroke in the second, near the end of the second Adar. When he was, okay, so these are all approaching this day. So the words, the ideas of the Rebbe become more and more, how do you say, vital and important. Okay, we're now in Parshat Kitisa. Parshat Kitisa is the Torah portion that contains the golden calf, the sin of the golden calf, and how Moses broke the tablets. How the Jewish people angered God. They worshiped the golden calf. Just 40 days after they heard directly from God, don't do it, they did it. And Moses consequently broke the tablets. But after that, he went up on Mount Sinai a second time, and eventually a third time, or he actually, okay, anyway, a second 40 days and a third 40 days. And he got the 13 attributes of mercy, which is the essence of God and God's willingness to forgive the Jews no matter what the Jews do, right? All the sins in the world, which they have managed to do, God still loves them and forgives them. And that's the 13 attributes of mercy. So then we got all this in this week's Torah portion. Okay. In the Torah portion, Kitisa, we find something new, a novelty. What's the novelty? 1 minute. Get a pointer over here. In this week's Torah portion, it talks about topics which are one end to the other, diametrically opposed, or whatever it is, opposite in things. Something's wrong with my camera here. This is not me, so don't have to worry. There we go. In this week, we talk about things which are from one opposite to the other. It's terrible. Okay, I have to get a new one. First of all, we have the first tablets. Moses goes up on Mount Sinai and receives the first tablets. Second is the sin of the golden calf and breaking of the first tablets. Then it jumps to the other side again. So the first tablets, that's good. The sin of the golden calf, that's bad. The breaking of the tablets, that's even worse. All of a sudden, the forgiveness of the Jewish people, that's good. So we're jumping good, bad, back to good. And then finally, the Torah portion ends. Oh, we'll see. Then after that, Moses sees the glory of God. That's good. Then he gets the 13 attributes of mercy. And then we get the third tablets. I'm sorry. Then we get the second tablets. Okay. Until finally it says that the face of Moses shined. So this week's Torah portion is action-packed, contains all of these things. The first tablets, the sin of the golden calf, the breaking of the tablets, Moses prays to God, gets forgiveness for the Jews. Moses sees the glory of God. He gets the 13 attributes of mercy. God gives him the second tablets. And finally, it says that the face of Moses shined. Even though, that these things, they are occurrences, that they were in one sequence, one after the other. In addition to the fact that we have to understand why is that the Torah tells us. Okay, what can we do? Why is the Torah? I'll use another. The good thing about this camera going off is when it comes back, it's nice, right? You see a human being. Okay, before it's sort of scary or something.
How much do these cameras cost?
It's not important. I have other cameras. I'll have to buy it. It takes a while. Yeah. Okay. Barichas gadol be'inyani bilti b'ratzuyim. Even though this is one continuation. First of all, there was good things, the first tablets, and then there was the bad things, and then they got forbidden. This was all one continuum in time, but especially according to what we can say. So, okay, but even more, what happened? The Torah tries to avoid saying bad things about even animals. It says a behema lo Torah. It doesn't say tamea. In addition to the fact that included in this list of things that we just had, the sequence, there are really bad things, and the Torah usually tries not to say bad things about anyone, how much more so the Jewish people. This is really terrible. And not only that, all these things, in addition to the fact that there's bad things and that they go from one end to the other, but they're totally different from one end to the other, as possibly as far as there can be. Not just that they're different, but the first tablets, this is the highest thing that there could possibly be. God gave his tablets, they're the handiwork of God. And the even the writing was God's work. The breaking of the tablets, this is the lowest. The 13 attributes of mercy, this is going back the highest. And afterwards, that God gave the second tablets, this is a different type of tablets totally. These tablets were carved out by Moses. They came in general because of the sin and the breaking of the first tablets. And they were given at a different time. They were given like 120 days later. Tina Luchot Rishonot, the giving of the first tablets, and the end of 40 days, and the last tablets. This was after an additional 80 days, and Yom Kippur. So the first tablets were given 40 days after Shavuos. This camera is gone. Okay. Nevertheless, we're coming together in one continuum, in one hemshech. One second. You know what? I have another camera. I see this is not cooperating with me. Let's get the other camera. Here we go. Let's say we have our spare camera. Okay. It's gonna. How are we gonna do this? Here we go. Watch, ready. Watch this. Nah, you're trying to be good. Too late. Here we go.
I'm thinking maybe the battery is not charging well on that camera.
Here we go. Let's try this. Check.
Could it be the battery or the charging is not working well?
1 minute. 1 minute. There is no battery. 1 second.
The charger from the laptop.
It is not a laptop. It is.
Tablet.
1 minute. 1 minute. Well, let's just get this thing. Here we go. Screen sharing. Yes. Who can see recording? Here we go. Start the video. There it is. Here I am. Video. New camera. This camera is not so much in sync like the other one is. So it looks like one of those Bruce Lee movies or something. He moves his lips.
It's very zoomed in.
Chinese and another. Here we go. There we go. There I am.
It's very zoomed in. If you can zoom in.
Okay, that's what it is. Here we go. Better than nothing. Here we are.
Are you able to move it back? No?
Move it back, but then the microphone will be far away. Okay, let's go.
We hear you. We can hear you well. Okay.
There we are.
Okay, better.
What?
That's good. That's good.
Okay, so we see that all these things are from one end to the other. How can it be? Shebamakom hamidbar. I'm sorry, midaber. That in a place. I'm sorry. We skipped a little bit. V'yiten Moshe, that Moses, God gave the second tablets, and then after this says that the Jewish people, they saw Moses came. I'm sorry. One second. We skipped here. Okay. First of all, it talks about the first tablets. And afterwards, it says that the people saw that Moses delayed, right? How did it go? Moses went up on Mount Sinai, and everybody heard the 10 commandments. They heard the first 2 10 commandments, they heard directly from God. and they couldn't take any more. And the other 8 commandments they heard from Moses. Okay. Then Moses went up for 40 days to bring them the Torah. The people saw that Moses kiboshesh Moshe. Moses delayed. So they thought, according to their computation and their calculations, Moses was supposed to have come back 6 hours earlier than he did. And when he delayed, so the Jewish people thought he wasn't going to come back at all. And consequently, they became confused and they worshiped the golden calf that the mixed multitude made. But matim, how is it really fitting that when we're talking about these good things, wonderful things, that we talk about the breaking of the tablets, and all of a sudden new things about, and then it talks about the breaking of the tablets, and then afterwards it talks about how good the tablets were. Right? Look in the Torah portion and you'll see it says that Moses came down, he saw the Jewish people sinning, they were worshiping on the calf, he broke the tablets were broken, Moses had to go back up, and then it starts to say, and the first tablets, they were the work of God. The words were God, and the tablets were God. Why talk about how good the first tablets were after Moses broke them? Harizel lag l'resh. This is like making fun of a how do you say, of a losing person, right? It's like a person lost all his money, and you go over to him and say, I remember how rich you used to be. Wow, you used to have a big house. Look at that, right? You're now sitting in the streets and you're eating, looking for sardines in the garbage cans. And you used to be rich, used to be famous, that's not nice. The same thing over here. What does the Torah do? Then Moses comes back with the first tablets, he breaks them. And then the Torah starts saying, after Moses broke the tablets, it says, the tablets, they were the handwork of God. And the letters, they were the letters of God. And they came directly from God. That's not a nice thing to do. So it must be, if the Torah does it, there must be something good. Shekan boim aluchot rishonot, the first tablets, they are not secondary and a preparation for the worshiping of the golden calf and the breaking of the tablets, but they were one continuum. They were part of a continuation of the first tablets, the breaking of the tablets, and the last tablets. It's all one continuum of good. How can that be one continuum of good? The Rebbe says, okay, I'll explain this. According to what Rashi says, that there is not always is the order, the things appear in the Torah, the historical order that they occurred. There's no earlier or later in the Torah. Maisa EIGEL, nevertheless, the fact that the Jewish people worship the golden calf, everyone agrees that according to the Rashi, the worshiping of the golden calf, that came before the commandment to make the tabernacle. Yomim Rabim. How does it go in the Torah? Last week we learned about making the tabernacle, right? We learned about making the tabernacle. That was in the last 2 weeks, Parshas Truma Tetzaveh. This week we're learning about the golden calf. According to Rashi, the commandment to build a tabernacle, that was to bring forgiveness for the golden calf. So what happened afterwards? So what happened in the Torah is not necessarily in the order that it happened. One second, I just want to just turn off some people's things because there's a little bit of background noise over here. Okay, please excuse me for doing this. Here we go. Okay, and then we'll take questions after the class is finished. Okay, so some people say that the commandment to build the tabernacle was several days after the sin of the golden calf, not the order that appears in the Torah. In the Torah, we learned the last 2 weeks, we've been learning about the tabernacle, and now we learn about the golden calf. But according to Rashi, the commandment to build the tabernacle came after the golden calf, because in the 17th day of Tammuz, Moses came down and he broke the tablets. And on Yom Kippur, Moses received the second tablets from God, 80 days later. And the next day, they began to bring the the offerings for the tabernacle. So if so, if so, it doesn't make any sense why over here is explained all the details of the first tablets. This should have been back there in Mishpatim 3 weeks ago, before it even started talking about the tabernacle. According to Rashi, the sin of the golden calf, the breaking of the tablets, the sin of the golden calf and the breaking of the tablets, that happened before Moses talked about the tabernacle. How does it appear in the Torah? It appears in the Torah that the Jewish people received the commandment of building the tabernacle, and afterwards was the breaking of the tablets. That's not the way it happened. So the Rebbe said, if God really wanted to do this whole thing in a orderly way, it should have been like this. 3 weeks ago in Parshat Mishpatim, it should have talked about, that was after God gave the first tablets, should have talked about that the Jewish people worshiped the golden calf and Moses broke them. And then after that, it would talk about how good the tablets were. And then after that, it would talk about how Moses got forgiven. In any case, according to what's known, that every place where we talk about Ein Muktam Amuchar B'Torah, that we say that there's no chronological order in the Torah, Yeshnam Tam B'Seder Zeh. Nevertheless, we have to say, okay, maybe things are not ordered in a chronological way here, but there has to be a reason why God put everything in this order. Everything in the Torah, that's in the Torah, even things that appear to be not in proper order, are done that way with an exact intention. We have to understand why. Why are all these things mentioned here in this week's Torah portion? Kitisa, that Moses got the first tablets. He went up on Mount Sinai and got the first tablets, and then the Jewish people worshiped the golden calf, and then Moses broke the tablets, and all this is talked about after the previous Torah portions talked about building the tabernacle. Why did he put it in that order when it didn't happen in that order? In addition, Mova Korov L'Sid, in the end of our Torah portion, there's an extra thing which has no connection whatsoever. Namely what? The commandment in the end of this week's Torah portion, after Moses comes down and he gets forgiveness for the Jewish people, and he gets the 13 attributes of mercy, and he brings down the second tablets and his face is shining. All of a sudden it tells us about the holidays, the 3 holidays, Passover, Sukkot, and Shavuot. What's that got to do with anything? So on one hand, we could say, listen, let God do whatever he wants to, and that's the way it comes. And the Rebbe says, no. The purpose of the Torah is to teach us. And if this order occurs in this way, God is trying to teach us something. Because it's a very basic principle that Chabad Hasidut especially, and Hasidut in general, is taken on itself to teach the world that everything that's in the Torah is inside of us. 1 second. 1 minute. It's working. Okay. Everything that's in the Torah is happening inside of us. What's going on here? It says I'm having problems with this. All right. Life is filled with problems. 1 second. 1 minute. 1 minute. Oh. There it is. Oh, you see me? You hear me? Very good. Okay. Okay, what could possibly be connection to all these things, and especially the three holidays at the end? The question is even stronger. What the name of this week's Torah portion? What's the name of this week's Torah portion? Kitisa. When you elevate, it's known that the name of the Torah portion indicates the content of the Torah portion, the name of the thing. According to this, we have to explain why is our Torah portion called kitisa, when you lift up. The whole Torah portion that we're talking about is talking about lifting up the Jews. This lifting up the Jews, it really only, at first glance, if you look, is only talking about the beginning. When God counted all the Jews, every Jew has to give a half of a shekel. We just talked about that. This elevates the Jews, that every Jew became important. They become a number one. Every Jew is counted. That's what it means, kitisa. When you lift up the Jews, this is only talking about the first paragraph. There's no connection to the majority of the Torah portion. The more that it's talking about, things are totally different. Breaking of the tablets, that's lifting up the Jewish people, right? Worshipping the golden calf, that's worship, lifting up the Jews. At first glance, there's no connection to the whole idea of lifting up the Jews. Even more, that the Jews worship the golden calf, and that takes a big part of this Torah portion. This is a tremendous descent and a tremendous shame that there's nothing like it. And by means of this, it says that there came back death into the world from the sin of the tree of knowledge. If the Jewish people wouldn't have worshipped the golden calf, there wouldn't be any sickness or death or illness or troubles in the world. When God gave the Torah in Mount Sinai, it says death stopped. And the Jewish people, they heard from God, don't worship idols, and they all did it. That's the worst sin possible. That's like Adam hearing directly from God, don't eat from the tree, and he ate. This brought death and selfishness. As a result of selfishness, it brought it back into the world, death. So this is it becomes the beginning of all sins. Like it says, that any time that the Jewish people sin, God always remembers the sin of the golden calf. Anytime the Jewish people sin, God adds on the sin of the golden calf to them also. God said, listen, I wanted to wipe you out when you worship the golden calf. Moses convinced me not to do it. God said, anytime the Jewish people sin, I always remember I shouldn't have listened to Moses. I should have wiped them all out and made a new nation from Moses. God will never wipe out the Jewish people, but at least those Jewish people that sinned, I mean, that, other sins you can make excuses for. But this sin of the golden calf, there's no excuse. Everybody heard directly from God, don't do it. So any of the other sins, so God makes an excuse for, but he remembers, listen, these are the same Jewish people that they worship the golden calf. These people are irreparable. You can't. But diuk lahepach, this is the opposite of what it means, kitisa, lifting up the heads of the Jews. How is this lifting up? We can also Besofa Parsha, and also at the end of this week's Torah Parsha, it talks about that Moses had his face shined. It says beams of light, beams of glory that shine. And it's a known joke, but I guess it's not a joke. The word Karen also means a horn. Like a horn on an animal is called a Karen, spelled the same way. Right, so some people made a mistake and thought that Moses had horns on his head, right? The famous statue with Moses. Okay, in any case, he did not have horns, but there were beams of light that came from Moses. Madua Nosefes b'Moshe. Why did Moses get an extra beams of light after he got the second tablets? What about the first tablets? When Moses got the first tablets, they were much higher. Moses went up on Mount Sinai, 40 days and 40 nights, he didn't eat, didn't sleep, didn't drink. That's pretty holy. I mean, you don't get much holier than that. And he was with God. It's not just that he did it because he was meditating or something, or he, attached himself to some spiritual, what is it, what's it called? The catatonic state or something. Moses was the ultimate level of life. Right? He got to the source of life. He didn't need to eat. He was fed from the source of life. Halo kavar nana, he already was getting pleasure from the ray of the Shekhinah for 40 days. First days. God should have given Moses, his face should have shined then. Exactly the opposite. The revelation of God that was in the first tablets, this was much, much higher than the second tablets. The second tablets, they were just made by Moses. The first tablets were made by God. In addition to the fact that the first tablets, that came after the highest revelation that there could possibly be of the giving of the Torah. God gathered all the Jewish people to Mount Sinai. The Jewish people were all pure. God took them out of Egypt. They all believed in God at Mount Sinai. This says their souls jumped out of their bodies. They were pure, right? The Jewish people were pure, which is not the case. That's the first tablets, which is not the case. The second tablets, this was given quietly. Moses came down. There was no lightning. There was no thunder. The mountain didn't shake. If so, how could it possibly be that in the second tablets, that's when Moses' face shined? Why? The explanation for this, we're going to find out because we don't have much time. But let's do a little bit. The explanation we can understand only by preceding something. You can't understand this without this preface. From the 53 Torah portions, there's one special topic that is divided, is separate from all of the other Torah portions. Only once in the year, right? Right. Okay, I'm sorry. Right. Every single Torah portion contains something unique that's not in any other Torah portion. Similarly, also Parshas Kitzisa. It has something unique which is not found any other Torah reading. What is that? And together with this, Kitisa, this week's Torah portion, Kitisa, is a separate Torah portion in itself, but it's also an amazing Torah portion that's got a brand new thing in it. What? That it includes in it the whole entire order of creation, from the beginning to the end. First of all, it says in the Torah, from the beginning of the Torah until the end of the Torah is included in this week's Torah portion. The creation of the world, the giving of the Torah, and etc. How is it that this week's Torah portion contains everything? That we're going to find out only tomorrow. Now, I don't think there's going to be a class tomorrow. Tomorrow is Purim, very doubtful. If you want to tune in tomorrow at about 8:15, like 8:30 or something like that, and we'll see if there's a class. But I doubt it if there'll be a class tomorrow. Purim. Purim. But the day after,
Purim is also a good time to learn Torah.
But there will be, but there's a lot of things going on, and there's things going on in the nighttime, and I don't know if there will be. You're right, of course. This is Aura is Torah. Aura is Torah. But so it's a big question if there will be a class tomorrow. Maybe there will be. Could be there will be. If you want to try it, you can tune in. If by 8:30 there is no class, it's probably a sign that there's not going to be a class. I went to daven. Also, the prayers are very long tomorrow because we have to read the Megillah of Purim, and you have to bring Mishloach Manos to people, and you have to go around. But anything is possible. We'll see. And we'll see. We'll see what's going to be tomorrow. Could be that there will be a class. Today at 3:00, I'll just put up the classes from last year, like I've been doing up to now. And so, God willing, we can try tomorrow. We can try to make a class tomorrow. We can try, God willing. If you see by 8:30 there's no class, it means that there won't be. Okay, let us go. 1 second.
And the next day?
1 minute. Did I turn this off yet?
Next day, even better chance.